What's up guys, Glenn here back on the Function Powersports YouTube, and I have a few questions for you. How are your tires holding up on your machine? Have they been rotated recently, and are you running new tires or completely wore down tires? Is there any tread even left on them? Do you even have tires at all? Got a little carried away there. Anyway, I'm here to talk to you about different ways your tires can be set up on your machine that will be most beneficial to you and your riding style. That won't cause you to have to worry about buying new tires as much as you may have been doing. Should we get into it? Let's get into it. We will now be comparing a block setup versus staggered setup, and when and why you should run them. All right, let's start with the basics of a staggered setup. A staggered setup is most likely how your machine will come from the factory. This means that the tires in the front will be narrower than the tires in the back. Manufacturers of these machines do this for a few reasons. The first two are performance and handling. When thinking about it, it would only make sense that handling would be better with the narrower tires in front, because think about how easy it will be to turn and navigate through rocky or wooded trails. It keeps your front end light and your ability to move in check. And since all these off-road beasts are either four-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, the wider tires in the rear will allow for better traction and acceleration. Another reason, believe it or not, is just the cosmetic look of a staggered setup. ATVs and UTVs have always come like that, so the people who are just used to that look, they keep it that way for the most part. And surprisingly, having the narrower tires in the front may save your machine and you from a mud bath. This being due to the fact that the tires stay tucked under the fenders, and your fenders will be able to shield you and parts of your machine from getting dirty. In addition to that, sometimes the staggered setup is to help keep the machine width narrower and or maintaining that factory width, as front ends of machines tend to be naturally wider before you even mount the wheels and tires on. If this is what you are looking for in your wheel and tire setup, then staggered is the way to go. However, there are a few other things to consider that I don't want to leave off the table. Carrying a spare can be a bit more difficult due to the fact that you won't be able to carry both sizes at one time realistically. You will likely want to carry a front tire as your spare, because if you do get a flat tire in the front, you'll be good to go right away, but you can also use that spare front tire on the rear if one of your rear tires goes out, but just not long term, really only to get you home, as the machine may not handle the same if there's a difference in wheel or tire size. Another factor is that the height of your tires will almost never be the same on a staggered setup due to many factors. If you are the type of person to jump on and ride and not have a care in the world, you probably won't mind this or even notice it. But if you're a little pickier with your machine, this may not be the right way to go, and that's totally okay. Bigger tire sizes are also less common for staggered setups once you get to a 30-inch tire or bigger, and rotation of your tires is not possible due to having two different sizes from front to back. Looking to have the same tire setup all around that you can rotate to save tread life? A block tire setup may be the one for you. Block setups are a somewhat newer evolved look that you can run on your machine, where all four tires are the same size. The benefits of this setup is that you can easily carry a spare and use it to mount on the front or back of the machine, and you also have the ability to rotate your tires to get the maximum life of the tire tread life, which unfortunately you cannot do with a staggered setup. There's also the appeal of the way the block setup looks to some, just like the appeal of the staggered setup for others. Block setups can be narrower or wider than how your stock staggered setup was. Really, the options are limitless, and wheel spacers can always be used to maintain even width in the front or back, or heck, all the way around. Block setups also allow for more tire size choices, many of them being DOT approved tires. But one thing to consider is that if you go from a staggered setup to a block setup, you will, and I mean you will, have to get new or matching wheels for those new tires, which you can find at functionpowersports.com. One more minor thing, just minor, if your machine doesn't happen to have power steering, it will be a lot tougher to handle the wider tires in the front, but for most people, this should not be an issue, as block setups are very common with many types of UTVs, and for ATVs, more commonly the utility machines, and nowadays power steering is kind of like a regular feature compared to ATVs years ago. Alright, so there you have it, all you need to know about staggered setups and block setups, and hopefully this information will help you decide which option is the best for you and your riding needs. But regardless of what setup you run, if you need wheels, tires, or heck, even suspension or accessories for your ATV or UTV, we've got you covered at functionpowersports.com. With that, I'm Glenn with Function Powersports, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.